Today's video is based upon irrigation. Chapter Water Resources, second part, Irrigation. What do you mean by irrigation? Artificial supply of water to agriculture plants through wells and tanks, tube wells and canals is known as irrigation. Why is there need for irrigation in India? In India, rainfall is uncertain. It's only from June to September. It is not regular. Rainfall distribution is uneven. Some areas receive heavy rainfall, others scanty rainfall. Crop requirement also varies. Kharif crops require more water than Rabi crops. It also depends upon the nature of soil. There are variety of soils in India. Clay soils require less irrigation as it is highly retentive of moisture. Sandy soils require more water, and irrigation is also required to increase the production of the crop and to make use of river water. Otherwise, river water will finally meet ocean. It will reach ocean without making any use. Now there are four means of irrigation. The first one, wells. What is a well? Well is a hole dug in the ground. There are two types of wells, unlined wells and lined wells. Unlined wells are also known as kacha wells, which are very cheap to dig. And lined wells are pakka wells, means they are lined with bricks inside, bricks or stones, so therefore they are costly to make. What are the advantages of wells? Wells can be dug at any convenient place by the farmer and can be used when the necessity arises, whenever we need water. They are the cheapest source of irrigation. Most of wells are driven by ox. Now same ox can be used for plowing the field, so no extra expenditure. What are the disadvantages of wells? Wells may run dry during extreme summer season and they irrigate very small area. They are suitable for places where soil is soft and water table is high. Second, under this comes tube wells. Tube well is a deeper well where water is lifted up by an electric motor or a diesel engine. What are the ideal conditions for drilling of the tube well? Plenty of groundwater should be there because tube well irrigate 2 hectares of land per day. Number 2, water table should be nearby, that is near 15 meters. Otherwise, the cost of pumping out water will be very high. Number 3 is cheap and regular supply of electricity should be there. Soil should be fertile so that the cost involved in the construction and operation of tube well can be recovered by the increased farm production. What are the advantages of tube wells? Tube wells irrigate large area. It's a reliable source of irrigation, independent source of irrigation. It brings out clean water. Some crops which need more irrigation or rainfall can be grown in low rainfall areas with tube wells. For example, in Punjab, we grow rice. Now, Punjab is having very less amount of rainfall, near about 80 centimeters, 100 centimeters of rainfall. And rice requires lot of rainfall. Therefore, rice is grown in Punjab with the help of irrigation. What are the disadvantages of tube well irrigation? It depletes groundwater. Over exploitation of water is there. It is useless if the water is saline, brackish. It is very expensive because it runs on electricity. Number 2, its cost of installation is very high. And another disadvantage is that it changes the cropping pattern of many areas because of the availability of water. Now, why well irrigation is confined to northern plains or alluvial plains? Because in alluvial plains, soil is soft, water table is very near, so it is easy to dug wells. Cheap hydroelectricity is available. Next means of irrigation is canals. Canals are of two types, inundation canals and perennial canals. What are inundation canals? Inundation canals are taken directly from the rivers, and these canals are operational only during the rainy season when the rivers get flooded. And these canals have limited use only because they are useful in the rainy season, so they irrigate small area. On the other hand, perennial canals, they are taken out by constructing barrages or dams. These canals are operational throughout the year. These canals have wider use as they irrigate large area. Canal irrigation is widely used in northern plains of India. Why so? Because in northern plains of India the land is leveled, rivers are perennial, they flow throughout the year, soil is very fertile here, so cost of construction of canals can be easily recovered. What are the advantages of canal irrigation? Canal irrigation is very useful in the areas where rainfall is less. It is cheapest source of irrigation because farmers have to pay very less money for this. What are the disadvantages of canal irrigation? Canal irrigation, excessive irrigation is there. Lot of water is given to the fields and it causes environmental degradation. Then there is problem of waterlogging, and there is a rise in the water table, and also it changes crop pattern. What are the problems faced by canal irrigation? The first problem is that construction of canal is very costly. Cost of construction is very high. Some areas are not managed properly, so there is problem of waterlogging. There are some canals which are not lined with bricks, so seepage of water is more, and there is always lack of funds on the government part. Next means of irrigation is a tank. Now, what is a tank? Tank, when a small stream or any river get flooded during the rainy season, the water is stored by making a bund of earth or stones across the river. Water is stored behind the bund. Now that water is used to irrigate the fields. This type of irrigation is very important in the hard rocky areas like Deccan Plateau of India. Now, why it is important in Deccan? Because in Deccan the rivers are rain-fed, means rivers are seasonal, and topography is very hard. When topography is hard, we are unable to dig wells and make canals. Terrain of Deccan is uneven, so depressions are easily available there. Those depressions are converted into tanks, means rain water get collected in these depressions. Tanks are easy to make and cheap to make. What are the advantages of tanks? Monsoon water can be stored in these tanks and can be used later on. Very easy and cheap to make. Useful in hard and rocky areas. Areas where wells and canals are difficult to make. What are the disadvantages of tanks? Tanks get silted up soon. Silted up means because tank is made across the river only by making a bund, river or stream brings lot of sediment along with it. That sediment get deposited there. That is silting. Not dependable source of irrigation. Covers large area. Tank, while making a tank, it covers large area which can be otherwise used for agriculture. Tanks are shallow, they are not very deep. So evaporation is very high. Water evaporates when water is required in the summer season. Water is not available and difficult to lift water from the tank. Difficult to carry water from the tank to the field. What are the drawbacks of conventional methods of irrigation? So we have just discussed all the conventional methods of irrigation. So we have seen there is lot of wastage of water, there is problem of water logging, lot of land is used in making channels through which the water is supplied to the field. Next topic is modern methods of irrigation. Under modern methods of irrigation, we have furrow irrigation, spray irrigation, drip irrigation, and sprinkle irrigation. Now, what is furrow irrigation? In this, water is poured on the field through narrow channels. It is useful in areas where water is easily available. Spray irrigation. In this, water is sprayed by guns to the field. It is expensive method of irrigation. Water wastage is there due to evaporation. Excessive moisture can cause plant disease. Third modern method of irrigation is drip irrigation. It is most advanced and efficient method of irrigation. It is used only to irrigate fruits and vegetables. Why? Because it consists of perforated pipe that are placed between the rows of crops and give water directly to individual plant. What are the advantages of this method? Evaporation is minimum, field leveling is not required, so soil erosion is very less in this method. Now, what are the disadvantages? It is expensive because perforated pipes, then lining of those perforated pipes along the root line is expensive. Sun can affect the perforated tubes. And the last method is sprinkler irrigation. In this method, water is sprayed directly to the plants. This method is best suited for arid and semi-arid areas. Advantages: there is no loss of water by seepage or evaporation. Disadvantages: this is expensive and is helpful for a small area only. Useful for crops which require less water. So limited use is there.